live here today with Mr. BitBender to answer some strongly worded questions from the Gala community. But we're going to do it in a nice way. And we're going to talk about Gala V2. You like how I did this?
It's great. It's great. Hi, everyone.
Well, I had set up the cast, right? And I called it Gala V2 Straight Talk from BitBender of Gala Games. And within 30 seconds in Discord, I got someone that said, straight talk, ha, ha, ha. And I said, notice I didn't say who was going to be giving the straight talk. Watch.
See, this is that leading question thing we talked about again in the pregame.
I know.
So how disingenuous are you going to be on this cast, Titan? Very disingenuous, or all the disingenuous?
Give him a rating.
So
on a scale of 1 to 10, is it going to be 10 or 11?
He tends to backtrack. He'll behave for a while, but then he backtracks.
Well, the funny part is I'm not like all squishy and like liberal and like go out and protest and all this stuff, but I cannot stand seeing people. They'll come in and they'll be like, whether it's Gala or any other token, because we talk about a lot of them. They'll say, "Oh, I scrimped and saved for 3 months and I got this, and then something didn't work and whatever." I can't stand the little guy getting screwed. I can't. I hate that. Yeah. That's what drives my passion for asking shitty questions.
So something that I said yesterday.
Okay.
I said, I want to answer this real quick, or at the very least balance it out, because my thought right now is that the crypto sphere is an unregulated space. It's largely unregulated. Well, not according to the SEC, but it's largely unregulated, and I would call it expert mode. And you see a lot of people getting into the space, spending a lot of money, a lot more money than they should be, in expert mode, and then they have a problem with it when things don't go right. And so all the people in the space, don't act the same way as, I don't know, your corner grocery store or the department store or Amazon.com, because that's a very regulated space. And you're like, how come you don't give the same protections that Amazon gives me? How come you can't return this? How come you can't do that? And all I'm going to say is this is fucking expert mode. Anyway, I'll defer to BitBender now. I just wanted to get my rant.
No, I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with that. I think it is very much there's an element of expert mode in all of this, and I think it's just kind of one of those things. I mean, this is not an easy space to be in. It's not an easy time to be in.
It's bleeding edge. Why is it called bleeding edge, people?
You bleed. Yeah, it's rough, and so it's just one of those things. I think the other thing is that people oftentimes have expectations that are not just unrealistic, but like catastrophically so, where everyone seems to think that I mean, meme coins, great example. Okay,
Pepe.
How many people are throwing money into Pepe and other random meme coins, because they think it's going to go to the moon. And the funny thing is it very well could. And this is the type of shit that makes us look ridiculous, by the way, to everyone else. But people have these expectations because they have one friend that happens to get into some, meme coin at, sub thousandth of a cent. It pops up, they see them driving around in a brand new car. And then suddenly it's like, oh, well, I should do that too. And, it doesn't always work that way. And then when it doesn't work that way, people have two options. They either say, oh yeah, well, it didn't work that way, that sucks. Or they get angry. And knowing people, they tend to go for the get angry one.
Okay, so I like I said, we had some strongly worded questions, and
Sure.
what I want to do first though is set the stage for these questions, because I think that it's very possible, very easy to ask questions in a bad way that combines a whole lot of concepts, and then when you explain one, then they're like, oh well, you didn't answer the second part of my question. Yeah, I'll take a half a fucking hour to answer all your questions. In one sentence.
In one sentence, yeah.
So what I want to start out with is, I'm going to start very simple. why the fuck are you doing a Gala V2, and why right
Sure.
now?
Sure.
Why so quickly? Oh, that's 3 questions.
That is 3 questions.
Sorry.
You're doing it me.
I just did it.
Let's
separated
take those. Let's take those one at a time. Okay. Why are we doing a Gala V2? We're doing a Gala V2 because Gala V1 does not do the things that it needs to do. Okay.
So, all right, if you could expand right there.
Expanding.
You say just that, and then people go,
yeah, no.
Like what?
I've never, ever just said that. I have always given a list of things that it does, Titan. Don't start with me. So basically, the first thing, okay, and the most important thing is that it does not, GalaV does not correctly handle burns. Okay. So what this means is that because all of the bridges that we're building to and from Geary, all of those are burning bridges, okay, which means they're non-collateralized bridges, which means that there isn't like a gigantic pile of tokens on one end, and then, you know, another copy of tokens on the other end. That is what happened with Ronin, and this giant pile of tokens on one end got stolen, and that creates problems, right?
Okay, that makes sense.
All of our bridges are burning bridges. So before this token gets created over here, this token has to disappear. Okay. And if you were to take a bunch of tokens and go back and forth across that bridge, it's handling it correctly on the Geary side. But on the Ethereum side, on Gala V1, that number, total supply, keeps ticking up. And once it hits max supply, it stops working.
So, wait, so about that.
Oh, that is a great explanation.
So, a quick follow-up. Is that in response to or have anything to do with the P-Gala situation?
It doesn't really have anything to do with it other than to highlight that bridges suck in many situations. Yeah. In this case, it has nothing to do with it, though. But the problem here of having the total supply continue to tick up until it reaches max supply, when we have a situation where people will be moving Gala from Geary onto Ethereum and back, creates a problem. Because once you get to the point where you've maxed out, you've hit the max supply on the Ethereum contract, it's done. And it doesn't work anymore. Okay, so that means that all the founders nodes stop receiving the ability to have any rewards on Ethereum. It means you can no longer bridge to the contract because the max supply has been reached. It stops everything. And so that's...
You had to make a new coin in order to enable something like that then?
It's not a new coin. It's same ticker, all of that, same supply, same basic tokenomics. Okay, but you have to enable that part of the process so that when there's a burn, it correctly decrements from total supply and does not continue adding up until it reaches the max supply. That's the number one first, like, we must do this thing part of this. Okay.
And so and you got to do that so that you can switch the contract to be able to do things the proper way or a better way.
Correct. Now, granted, if we could go back, 3 years ago when we did the original Gala V1 contract and put this functionality in, we would have done so. But we didn't think of this particular issue at the time. Now,
well, people are asking, well, why didn't you do all these things? I know you're going to talk about some other things, but why didn't you do all these things right in the beginning? Why did you have to wait 3 years to do it?
Well, because in some of these cases, we weren't necessarily thinking of moving in this particular direction. And again, with development, you're constantly going after a moving target. I wish that we would have done some of these things. There's all sorts of there's other improvements in there as well that I wish we would have had. I mean, for example, if we had just put upgradability in the contract back in the day, then none of this big gigantic pain in the ass would be happening. But we didn't, and hindsight is very much 2020. Now,
sorry.
Can I deal with the rest of the questions first?
Well, you took a breath and I thought you were done.
I'm not done. I only answered one of them. Jesus. The next thing is, why are we doing this now? Okay, we're doing this now because as we come up to actually fully rolling out the L1, this is a thing that needs to be done. If we were to do this later, okay, and there were to be a bunch of, I mean, the longer we wait and the more active the L1 gets, and there's some stuff that's going to bring a lot of activity here before too terribly long, like a lot of activity before too terribly long, then, you know, you run that risk of it having to be an emergency, like an absolute contract broken emergency, which nobody wants. Okay. And then one of the questions that you asked in there, I think it was question number 2 between 1 and 3 there, was why is this rushed? And it's not. This is very well planned out. It has been planned for months in advance. And it's not a rushed thing at all. It's very much going exactly as it's supposed to. And then the question that isn't asked in there, but I'm pretty sure is buried in there, is why didn't you figure this out with exchanges in advance of doing this if this has been something that you've been planning? And the reality is we have conversations with these exchanges. We have asked these exchanges about this. We have talked to them about it. And their response has been pretty much unilaterally across the board, all of the really big ones, has been, let us know when you announce it, and then we'll have that conversation. Because what they want to see is they want to see the public announcement. They want to see the actual contract deployed. They want to see the audits. They want to see all of these things before they even begin a conversation about whether or not they will support something like this. So that's that. Why not 90 days? Why 90 days? I mean, we could do 90 days, but what does that really
yeah, that's kind of a question I have with certain questions that people have. Like, sorry, HB, I'm going to throw you under the bus. So
HB's a good guy. I like HB.
So people will come up with questions saying, well, you know, how come this didn't happen? And what I think they're doing is they're looking at other similar circumstances and saying, well, these other companies did it, or it's normally done this way. And so that's when I see questions like that, I'm perfectly happy hearing your honest response, which is, why must it be 90 days? You know?
Yeah, I mean, there's no, like, to be completely honest, I was quite surprised that Coinbase decided not to support V2. I'm hopeful that in the future they will support it and they will, you know, change their mind on this. But you know,
I think it's because they have a slow process and they're worried. Frankly, they're worried about more trouble with the SEC.
I would believe I would. That's my opinion as well. So, you know, it's not that this is a rushed thing. It's not rushed at all. You know, and if it was like if every single why?
See,
I answered this question for you in Discord the other day. Why not a swap? Okay. I would like to consider the amount of complaining that people are doing right now, having to spend $3 or $4 to move their tokens off of a centralized exchange that they're not sure will support onto, you know, a MetaMask on their own, and then look at what that would do in terms of gas fees right now if people had to go operate a manual swap contract. Think of what that would mean, and think of how many. Go ahead and look at you know, look at Etherscan for the Gala V1 contract, and look at how many wallets have 100 Gala in them, 200 Gala, 500 Gala. You know, little tiny amounts of Gala. Do you really want to be in a situation where every single person that has 100 Gala ends up paying $30 in swap fees? That's not a thing that we wanted to do. The reason we're doing it this way is because we feel it's what's best for the actual users.
Cool.
Okay.
And of course, I have tire tracks on my head, you know, from being yeeted under the bus for this. You know, it's like we're going to spend millions of dollars to do something that we wanted to do that's nice for the users, and people are like, you guys, you know, but such is life, I suppose.
So that leads me to a really smart person I know had a podcast today.
Okay.
And asked a question, and I thought it was a fantastic question that I hadn't thought of. And this is the perfect time to ask it.
Okay.
You guys are rolling out a brand new L1 blockchain.
Yep.
why would you mint Gala V2 on ETH when you have a shiny new blockchain? I mean, like, what was the thought behind that? Maybe.
Couple things. The first is that we would absolutely love to force every single user to come in and set up a wallet on our blockchain and use that. That'd be fantastic. Okay. But it would be a terrible experience for the users. Okay. Most exchanges, okay, integrating a brand new L1 is not an easy thing to do. And while we are talking to many exchanges about it, and Huobi has announced that they will be supporting our L1, integrating that L1 is not like a, wave of a wand and poof, you magically get that. Which means that if Gala V2 was only on our own blockchain and did not have an Ethereum component, it would force delisting basically everywhere, literally everywhere, because nobody's actually integrated it yet, which means that every single user out there on every single exchange would have to migrate away from that exchange. And I mean, just think of the outrage that would, I mean, like we're doing this in a way that we have tried to make as absolutely painless as possible and as good for the community as we possibly can. I would love to go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to ask something as soon as you finish your sentence.
No. I mean, and so this is what we have attempted to do. And, whether or not we are successful in that, like, obviously people are going to have different opinions, but I don't think you can fault the logic in not saying we're going to ask every single exchange to tell all their users to go somewhere else and please delist. That's not a thing that we're going to do, right? Like, does anyone actually want that?
Okay, so the
great answer.
What I was wanting to hit on is, while you were talking, it reminded me of you guys do make a lot of decisions, and sometimes it seems like, because maybe they roll out fast before you tell us about them or whatever, that maybe they're off the cuff. And I had said yesterday on Faz Radio, I think that Benefactor's a trigger puller, and it might be
at
that
times.
And it might be that you guys have actually talked about this. Can
Weird.
you
talk about it?
Yeah. Can you guys go through the process of why you decided to do this Gala V2? I don't know if we're repeating ourselves.
So no, I mean, it's fine. That
Internal
process began. That process began February of last year, when we sat down and we're like, okay, we're definitely going to need to do a V2 here. What is that going to look like? What should be in that? What parts are included? What parts shouldn't be included? How can we future-proof this so that we don't have to do this again? It became pretty clear going through this that this was going to be a bit of a pain. But this is also not unheard of. Like, exchanges do, token upgrades all the time. This isn't a unheard of thing. But it was probably going to be something that was, a little bit of a pain. And so, we went through this process of, basically getting everything ready to go and setting a timeline, getting engineering behind it. We've had probably, I want to say, 4 months of platform modifications in the background to support this, getting all of the, testing everything on the platform, making sure that every little bit of the platform works with the new contract, making sure that all the bridges work, making sure that the bridges that have not yet been deployed, so for example, bridging Gala from Geary back out to Ethereum, making sure that that's, ready to go and tested, doing everything on testnet. Like, we had to go freaking buy girly ETH because there was none of the faucets for that were working. So we're doing all this testnet stuff on, to make sure that everything works. We have an entire platform team that is dedicated to going and making sure that everything, does what it's supposed to do, and, troubleshooting and, bug fixing and, testing again. The demand from Benefactor for this was we needed to have 3 full regression testings, to make sure that everything was completely stable before we did this. Once we had done all of that, once we did all of the work and got everything ready, then we pulled the trigger, made a public announcement, and started talking to the exchanges. We had been talking to them about it for like 6 months, but that's when we could have the honest, like, okay, here's our timeline discussion.
So okay, a follow up to that question then is,
sure.
You guys gave a roadmap. Why would you do something that's not on the roadmap instead of doing the roadmap? I know you guys put it. Well, I don't think the roadmap has said anything about the. It did?
Yeah, it has a whole page on Gala V2.
Oh shit! Then that's my bad. I'm sorry. I thought. Okay, no, I was wrong. And actually, that's a good point. Maybe people don't pay as much of attention to the roadmap.
No, that's actually one of the things that's really hilarious. And actually, in fact, let me look right now. So just because it's a fun statistic, we have tracking on. Oh, my child is yelling in the background. I'm sorry if you can hear that. We have tracking.
Threw a temper tantrum a few minutes ago. I don't know if you guys heard that.
I heard that.
I didn't. So we've got. Let me see if I can find it here. Can I search? No.
So the reason I brought up the roadmap is because Titan went over the roadmap recently and gave you guys a hard time, and I was like, well,
dude, there's definitely things on the roadmap that have not gone the way that we would have liked them to go, but at the same time, that's kind of the nature of, and this is why we haven't done roadmaps traditionally speaking, because it's not been a thing that we like. Nobody wants to say, here's a thing we're going to do and then not do that thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's not fun for anybody. Where is this? There's got to be a link here. So here's the thing. So that the Gala Vision, the thing that you're talking about, how many clicks do you think that actual document has received? We have 250,000, we have 400,000 followers on Twitter. We have hundreds of thousands about 100,000 followers, I think, in Discord. How many clicks do you think that document has had?
I'm not going to answer that because it feels like a setup.
It is definitely a setup, I promise. I 100% guarantee you this is a setup.
Not very many, apparently.
4,244.
Titan, you're one of them, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I went and pulled that up, yeah.
Right, and how many times have you pulled it up, Titan? So that's the thing, is that we can publish this stuff, we can put all of this information out there, we can have designers spend all this time making it look beautiful, and the vast majority of people will not go actually read the document, will listen to what one person says in Discord and then get angry and start posting on Twitter about
or better
that they
yet
haven't actually read.
Or better yet, listen to what 50 people say in Discord when
it becomes a massive game of telephone. Story. Yeah, it's a massive game of telephone. But yes, Gala V2 is in there.
So, do you think that it's possible that when Gala V2 switches over on the 15th, does it have to go back through the exchange approval process, or is it like pre-approved because it was already there?
No.
How does that work?
Exchanges demand extremely rigorous, information and follow-ups and things like that. Like, we've had to submit, audit reports, and we've had audits done with both Certic and on-chain. And we've published those reports. If you go to blog.gala.games, it's like the 6th or 7th
that
post
was
down
cool.
right now.
I was really surprised that you guys posted that. That made me happy, actually.
Oh, well, we want to be transparent with this stuff as much as possible. And, those are full unredacted audit reports that show exactly how all of this stuff works. All of the functionalities, and things like that. And, we've have to give that to them. They, do whatever it is that they do with it. It's the way that they work internally is very opaque. So we don't actually know what happens until they release a public statement that says, we don't know 100%. We know, somebody will be like, oh yeah, we're definitely supporting this, but we can't actually like tell everyone about it until they tell everybody about it, which is a little bit frustrating for us on our side because, I would, as much as I would love to be like, yay, so-and-so is, said that they're behind this. I can't.
So we talked a little about this yesterday as well, and one of the big things, speaking of audits, that was picked up in the new contract that created a ridiculous amount of fear was the block part of it, where that came in. So can you maybe start down this rabbit hole with why it was put in there, what it's for, and how it will affect the people that interact with Gala Games?
Sure. So one of the things that we try to do as much as possible is future-proof whatever we're doing, right? This is why when you build a website, you always try to get the best and most upgraded features. This is why you patch software. This is why you always try to have the best of whatever it is that you're doing, right? And looking at the environment in which we live right now and the environment surrounding crypto in general, we wanted to be in a situation where no matter what happened, we were as well protected as possible. Recently, we have been working very closely with a company called Chainalysis. What Chainalysis does is essentially AML, anti-money laundering stuff. We get notifications anytime an address that is interacted with us gets a ping on Chainalysis. And the reason that this is important is that if we and this is not just true in U.S. jurisdictions. This is true in a lot of different jurisdictions. There are things that you simply cannot do. Okay, supporting terrorist organizations is the one that is the pretty easy one for people to understand. And what Chainalysis does is they just look at every single contract that interacts and says, okay, there's this contract or this address has done this thing. There's direct and indirect connections. So, for example, you might, Faz might send Titan 1 ETH, and then Titan, just asking questions here. What did you do? What terrible thing did you do with that ETH, Titan? May go do some terrible illegal thing. Just, again, the hypothetical situation. And then we would get a notice saying that Faz has an indirect connection to some illegal thing, right? Or if it's a direct connection, if he did some illegal thing that you're muted, Titan. Sorry.
I muted him because he was ticking. You're still muted. Nobody can hear you. No, we still can't hear. Unmute your mic. The StreamYard mic is
God. There you got me all confused. Never mind, it was a joke.
But the point is that Chainalysis alerts us whenever something happens, and this is a thing that had been set up a long time ago, and had been kind of unfortunately not followed up on as closely as possible. And so recently, over the last couple months, we've been digging in on that. And fixing that and making sure that we're doing everything that we're supposed to be doing in regards to these things. Now, Chainalysis reports on some of the dumbest, most mundane things that we totally don't care about, up to things that we definitely need to care about. So they'll be like, oh my God, this address, and there's like a whole scale from like a thing that maybe you need to know about, all the way up to like, red alert, sanctions, OFAC. Yes, go ahead.
Good. That was exactly what I wanted to get into, which was the red alert, sanctions, OFAC. And so basically what I saw was what I heard and what I saw was that there's a new feature called blocking. And I saw that you said something on Twitter, like something along the lines of, look, if we're at, if North Korea does something with Gala coins, we're asked to block them. We now have the ability to do so.
Yeah.
Now that's a good thing. Great. That's good that can happen. But where the fear comes in is people start wondering what happens next.
Can I dig in on that a little bit?
Sure.
I hate that this is a thing that has to exist. I hate it. Okay. I don't want this. Okay. But it's one of those things that I would rather have this ability exist, locked behind multi-sig, hopefully never to be used, than to need it because of some terrible thing. And then suddenly, so for example, I think a good example of this is Tornado Cash. Okay. Tornado Cash, there's a bazillion random mixing contracts out there. Okay. But because somebody did something super sketchy with Tornado Cash, and I don't even know what it was, okay, all of the addresses that ever interacted with it, okay, get flagged. What I don't want to happen is for if something bad happens, okay, that we have no way to go limit the damage to the actors who did the bad thing.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I see everything as 50% good, 50% bad. And yes, there's a lot of good you can do with this. You can manage things very well. But what all the fear is about is, oh my God, what if Gala, or let's just say the federal government, decides that people of a certain political belief or a certain whatever should be blocked.
The reality is this,
and you're forced to. It might not even be your decision.
Yeah. I mean, if there was a situation like that came up where it's like, oh, we're going to block people with certain beliefs and functions, yada, 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 that is a hill I will absolutely frickin' die on. Just to be very clear, I will die on that hill. I will not go down that route. This is for specific cases with specific sanctioned addresses. Okay. This is not randomly this person said a mean thing, we're going to go block their address. That's not what this is. It is very much to deal with things to protect everything from anything severely negative from happening.
I understand that, but like I said, the fear is people worry the fact that you could do it at all means they're afraid that 20 years from now, when Gala rules the world instead of Microsoft and Amazon and Google, that all of a sudden you're going to start making choices that they don't agree with regarding.
I think most of the people who are complaining about these things, we make choices that they don't agree with anyway. So I don't see what I'd be gaining by bowing to their whims there. But like hard facts here. It's one of those things that is designed to protect the ecosystem as a whole. And at the end of the day, the thing that we do is we make video games. We publish video games. We do entertainment. That is what we do. And protecting that ecosystem is the number one thing that we do. And, sometimes that means that we do stuff, and we've always done stuff in a way that, there've always been, people who have come out of the woodwork to say, I don't like this thing that you're doing. You should do it a totally different way. And there's always, like, I think my third day at Gala, I had this big, gigantic argument with he was a BTC maxi who showed up in Discord and was just like screaming his head off about, all of these different things. And, there's always going to be somebody that doesn't like whatever it is that we're doing. But we still just have to do whatever we can to protect the ecosystem that we're all building together.
I like that answer. I like the idea of, I wish there was actually more said about it, more situations where Gala would just simply own it and tell people to fucking deal. in my opinion.
I try all the time. I'm pretty candid most of the time.
Okay, so let's get into another subject because I think that one has gone pretty far. So,
Sure.
Of course, in talking about blocking, somebody is going to be the blocker. Now, I don't want to get into
not an individual, but
it's
yeah.
Well, it's going to. You have said other places that you're going to have multi-sig keys. And
there's a multi, and this is all explorable on blockchain. Feel free to look it up. There's 5 signers.
and I want to ask this a certain way.
Okay.
Right now, I know that I understand that it's Gala Games has the ability to block, and they have a way of giving the keys to 5 different people or whatever. The question is, how what's the process to assign these keys? I mean, is Gala Games just saying we get to assign these 5 keys to 5 people that we want, or is there some sort
No,
of
I
vote?
mean,
Or
well, I mean, it's. I mean, you'd want people in the organization who actually have the experience and knowledge to handle it. Like,
you'd
you
want
can't
some
just.
people, yeah.
No, it needs to be. You don't want somebody screwing up a multi-sig, not understanding what they're actually doing. There's a degree of technical expertise that is required. It's not super high, but it also has to be, people who, you know, actually understand what they're doing. Otherwise, there's no point. If it's just like a person who just randomly goes and endorses whatever transaction happens to pop up, that's not helpful.
But if it's
Um,
all Gala that does all this blocking, is this coin at this point anywhere near decentralized? It sounds like it's completely
well,
centralized. You could block anything.
I mean,
Gala Games had all these 5 keys. That's all I'm.
so let me answer your question with another question, which I how would you do it?
So
So my further
my
question
my assumption from people asking these questions are that they feel somehow that Gala Games has said that things were going to be or were already decentralized and not.
well, there's different degrees of decentralization always. Okay, there's I mean, for example, we could, if we wanted to go this route, spend a bunch of time and create a DAO, where it would just be, a useless, squabbling mess. I've not actually ever seen a DAO that really functioned all that well. I've never seen a democracy that was super functional.
Remember to challenge people. Ask them if they know of a DAO.
Please, yeah. If you guys do, I would love to see one that works and can work at the velocity that we're working at. In terms of pushing stuff out.
And velocity matters. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. The reality is that at some point in time, especially while we're in this phase where we're still building the damn thing, somebody has to be able to push the damn button. And our long-term goal is and always has been decentralization, absolute decentralization. I want us to get to the point where we don't have to be here anymore because, to be honest, it's not always all that fun.
And that's what interested me in Gala Games back in 2020 was I was envisioning a day that Gala Games would go out of business and the nodes would be running my favorite game no matter what.
Yes,
and
that is where we want this to go.
Developers could go in, check out a key, and control that game for a while they're developing for it, and then they'd either expire or let them go, and then somebody else could develop the game, and that's what I saw.
And that's where we would love this to go, and we're working on self-service platform stuff on the back end that allows some of that, but ultimately at the end of the day, there are certain functionalities that have to be controlled by, they have to simply work. For example, the minting functionality on the contract. People have founders nodes. Those founders nodes, accrue rewards. They need to be able to mint those rewards. The contract has to do what the contract has to do, and that goes through the platform. That's just how it has to work. And while I would love to, completely decentralize some of these things, at the end of the day, you still have to have someone who can push a button. If you don't have someone who can push a button and you just have a big, gigantic, coffee and discussion group, it doesn't actually get the job done.
That's why I was asking the process of transferring these keys to, these multi-sig keys to another party, which it sounds like it doesn't exist yet.
Well, no, I mean, we could with these multi-sig keys, we could go have somebody set up an account, and we could add that person to the multi-sig multi-sig part of the contract. It's done through a Gnosis safe. Safe.global is the site that we use for that. But like at a certain point in time, who would you choose?
Faz should get a key, I think.
Well, I mean, okay, great. Now here's the thing.
I mean that like half jokingly. Like, was it discussed at all? Maybe that community members could hold some of those keys.
That would turn it into a DAO, wouldn't it?
It would turn it into a DAO, which is not necessarily the worst thing. But how confident are you in the average community member's information security?
Have you seen that cartoon?
Okay, fair point.
Like Trust Wallet. Maybe we can have somebody put their Trust Wallet in there. Do they know what that is? So this is the thing.
We talked about
wait a minute. Have you seen that cartoon where the guy stands up there? Everybody's on a plane. This guy stands up. He says, "These pilots are not taking our considerations into account and stuff like that. Who votes that I steer the plane?" And he raises his own hand. It doesn't even look like a pilot. And the point is, once you start including other people in there, it becomes a DAO. The reason I was asking about the intended plan for transferring keys is you do have a plan for decentralizing things.
Yes, of course.
But it sounds like that end point probably is left amorphous for now.
And it has to be, because honestly, the technology and the policies and like the Zorro Gala says, the DAO ecosystem schemes are under the decentralization concept, and at the same time, DAOs are far away from decentralization at this point in time, and that's true. And if you have something like this, okay, you have that block list function, okay, the people who have this, okay, we are all people who are known individuals, and this is a legal process. Okay, and anytime that is used, okay, if it is misused, there are potential repercussions. Okay, do you really want to say, okay, random guy who's a cat in or this guy is a pudgy penguin. Check this out. We're gonna go ahead and give pudgy penguin number whatever the keys to be able to do whatever. Like, it doesn't work. And if it did, I would love it. It'd be great. I don't want this responsibility, but it doesn't. So we have to do what we have to do to make it actually work. And I know that there are purists out there who, Anthony in your Discord is a great example. He extremely smart, very insightful, always typically has very well informed things to say, very much a purist. And it's very easy to be a purist when you don't have pragmatic realities of operational things that you have to deal with. I would love to be an absolute total purist about this. Philosophically, I am. Pragmatically, things have to get done, so we have to do them.
Yeah, it seems to me like people are treating cryptos like cryptos are an experiment at this point, and people are treating it like one experiment is as good as the next, and why can't we do this thing? It's like, great, then how do you do it? And once they tell you, start your own fucking company. It's so easy to beat down somebody else, but unless you're actually doing the work, well, people that are saying a lot of these things aren't actually doing the work, and it doesn't matter how smart they are. It's always easier to knock something that somebody's doing.
But at the same time, and I want to be super, super clear about this. At the same time, I would encourage people to continue to ask those questions. To Anthony, don't stop, asking questions. It's totally fine. I don't mind that. Because that's how we get here, is if we all work together on this, that's how we get to a certain point where this can happen. DAOs, I love the idea of a DAO. I just still haven't seen one frickin' work. And I don't know how you get to the point where, I mean, like the entire concept of a DAO, right, is to take responsibility and decentralize it to the point where everyone's responsibility is so infinitesimally small that nobody has any actual responsibility anywhere. The problem with that is that if you push if you spread the responsibility layer that thin, the actual work layer is equally thin. And that's why you have all these great DAOs that have these great management structures, and nothing actually gets done.
Mr. Titan.
So figure it out. Fix it. Please.
You're muted, Mr. Titan. I'll unmute you. Here you go. Oh, I can't unmute you. You got to unmute yourself.
My God. Well, you're always
struggle
complaining about that
bus.
ticking. No, it is because I can't hear ticking, but he insists there's ticking. I don't know where he's getting the ticking from. But
it's the CIA. It's the CIA little mind beam thing. It's getting picked up by the mic.
I'm the way I have this set up at the moment, I'm kind of in an old closet in this room, and I'm wondering if my mic is too close to the monitor and the electrical is doing something. I don't know. But another concern that was brought up quite a bit and a lot of conversation about it was the string of benefactor tweets. They let him have a Twitter.
This isn't Gala V2 now. You're going.
It is. No, it is because
style,
what we pulled up on the show last night was his reaction to the Coinbase, I guess, not really delisting, but not supporting kind of thing, and called them out asking if they were like an FTX thing. I mean, is that... You guys ask us to be as positive as we can in the community, and when he comes out and says things like that, do you think that's the right message that should be sent?
In that specific... actually, I don't know that I saw that announcement. 1 second. Let me go look. We're talking in the Discord.
He tweeted it.
Let's see. He tweeted it.
Yes.
Okay. I haven't seen that.
So my 2 cents is benefactor's usually been quite unapologetic about his unique style.
Well, and I'm taking that to after I asked that, I wanted to follow up about something we talked about last night as well. So while you're pulling that up to get to that tweet, the next layer of that question would be, we know that Benefactor had posted before about, hey, would it be so bad if Gala was a security? And with him kind of poking the bear with these tweets and poking the bear with maybe some of the ways that things are being restructured, are you guys trying to get the ire to get it over with? That's kind of some of the speculation that we're hearing.
That was for me, I think. I speculated that yesterday. That was...
No, but there's other people that have been talking about it as well.
I'm trying to find that.
Let me see if I can pull it back up. I had it yesterday.
Posted on CFA.
Yeah, let me pull it back up in Gala stuff.
Benefactor basically, sounded like he was a bit annoyed with Coinbase.
Well, I mean,
maybe he deleted it.
Yeah,
are you familiar with him being annoyed with Coinbase at all?
I think that
here it is.
This is the one thing that I will say is that we have been in communication with them, and we've had a very good partnership for going back for a long ways. So it was posted.
Looks like it was.
So yeah, it was on Discord. It wasn't on Twitter then.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I did see his.
I don't know how to make this bigger on a Mac.
You should get a real computer.
I run Linux on my other ones. I got this because Faz was complaining my camera sucked. So I got this so my camera would look better.
Yeah. Anyway.
So the main thing is that, like our organization, Coinbase is a large organization. Okay. There's a lot of people doing a lot of things, moving in a lot of directions all at once. Okay. And that's just, the reality of the situation. So I think the thing that was somewhat frustrating, and I can say that this was somewhat frustrating for me as well, is that even though we were in very close communication with people, and the person that I'm working with over there, wonderful person, this was not her fault. The tweet, though, where they said that they would not support, went out before they told us that they would not support because of two different work streams within their organization. And, so we had been having conversations regularly, answering questions, providing audits, doing all of these different things. And so it was a little bit like, oh, well, it would have been nice to know before it hit Twitter, because then, you kind of get rocked back on your back heels. In terms of all of this, I consider them a great partner. I'm sure that we're going to continue to do stuff in the future, in some way, shape, or form. We have integrated Coinbase Wallet, and they're great. They're great to work with. So I think that this is a fluke, and I think that this is them being overly cautious given the environment. And I can't fault them for that. And I've said this many times, he says things in a way that is very different than the way that I would say things. And I think this is one example of that. But it's just, sometimes it's just the way that it is. He's got his own style. I've got mine.
And people get offended, and people get, a lot of people are very
not the part I
sensitive
was
in the
talking
crypto
about.
world.
The crux of it is I was just curious, is that what you guys are looking for? Is it looking to just get through? If the SEC is going to come after you, let's get it over with now and move on. There's been talk about that for a long time.
It's a very weird question. We've always. What the hell am I supposed to do with that, man? Let me answer it though. Let me answer it.
Okay.
So we have always done what we can to be as compliant as possible and to do everything that we can to act within the bounds of any guidance that we have either seen or that we're aware of. There's not a whole heck of a lot that is out there, as everybody in the space knows. So we work very, very, very hard and diligently on this. Do we want to have negative attention from them? No, of course not. If we did, we would just, go do ridiculous things, which we don't do. So for me, we always want to do stuff the right way. It's very, very hard to know what the right way is. But we do our best. So no, of course we don't want to, we're not trying to poke a bear with a stick. That's silly.
Okay, well, thanks for entertaining that. But this was, I don't know, what did you think, Faz? Maybe 6-9 months ago when Benefactor started talking about that.
So I think I think what Benefactor does is he basically speaks his mind. If he's mulling over something, he basically puts it out and sees what people say. Unfortunately, the crypto world is full of investors that look and that listen for every single thing they can find, parse out of what people says as an indication of whether they can make a profit. And so whenever they see something like that, people freak out, they lose their fucking minds, and Benefactor's just throwing shit out because he wants to hear what the community says. And
I think that's a big part of it. The other part is that, guys, how you consider Gala and how we consider Gala are probably different things. For us, this is a token that powers a gaming ecosystem. Okay. If this is not a thing that is a speculative investment opportunity, this is
now,
not
that doesn't
a thing.
mean that people won't speculate, but it's not intended.
People
to
do
be.
Whatever they want, but that's not our intention here. Okay. And we can't stop people. Okay. But our intention here is to have a utility token for a gaming ecosystem. That is,
What's it? I was just typing to Titan here that
I made cookies today and gave some to the neighbors, and there were like a couple Reese's peanut butter chips in the chocolate chips, and apparently the person is allergic to peanuts. So bad news. They're okay though. They checked first. They asked first, and then my wife asked me, and I said, "Yeah, there's some peanuts in there." And then so no cookies were consumed. Everybody's okay. But she's allergic, and I'm like, oh no. Anyway, back to the thing. The way that some people consider Gala and the way that we consider Gala are very different, and we've always been upfront about that. This is not a thing that you should, go out and like. There is no moon plan, okay, where the allergen crisis averted. There is no moon plan of make number go up, generate max ROI. That's not a thing. We'll never, ever, 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 ever say that that's a thing. What people do with it.
You guys are certainly looking to make money off of building your game out, though.
Well, of course, but that's a business, and the price of the token matters far less to us than the liquidity and the ability for people to move it in and move it out, and do things like that. It doesn't really particularly matter to us whether it's 5 cents or $5. It doesn't matter. I prefer the community happy. That is a thing that I like. And what makes them happy is not a bad thing in my book. But, there is no, and this is, I get so many DMs on Twitter about this where people are like, Jason, make the number go up, make it go up. And it's like, guys, I don't have a switch. I don't have like some big cartoonish knob on my wall that I can just like push into the up position. And if it doesn't, that there's some, moral failing on my part because I forgot to push the big number up. Things are based off of US dollar sale price in the store. That is true.
That's a good point. The store is based on the dollar price. So if you buy Gala and then I don't know, it goes down, you're going to have to spend more money or your money won't go as far.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or your Gala won't go as far because it's based on the dollar price, not the Gala price.
Yeah, which is pulled from CoinGecko directly.
So I just had one more question, and it's something that's near and dear to me because it pained me, and we talked about this in the premium green room a little bit.
Okay.
I follow your tweets, of course. I read through them. I look at the comments, and I saw so many of, and I don't want to sound like a jerk when I say it, but I don't know how to say it another way.
Yeah, you will.
Just uneducated people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and they're asking, well, you're saying exchanges aren't supported, but what about Trust Wallet? Okay, Trust Wallet isn't an exchange, and you're in this, and you're using it, and you don't even know what it is. So
yes.
You have a lot of very low-knowledge people in the platform. How do you propose getting through not only this token switch with getting people up to speed, but this could be a problem for the platform where people join and they want to do this, but they don't know what they're doing. How is Gala going to approach
a problem that? It's been a problem forever. This is not a new problem. It's a no less irritating problem than it was. I mean, the number of times we would see people go and create an account, and back in the day when you had to go through the mnemonic wallet process, which was a pain in the ass. You would have people. I remember one specific time it was super frustrating for me because I hate to see bad stuff happen to people. And there was one particular person in our Discord. She had written down her mnemonic key phrase for the wallet, taken a picture of it with her phone, and it got uploaded to her like iCloud thing, which got hacked at some point in time. And, somebody then, of course, vacuumed out everything that she had in there. And it was like, okay, well, all you can do with this is educate people. And that is something that I try to do all the time. I respond to DMs on Twitter all the freaking time, trying to walk people through things, trying to explain how things work. I mean, I can't, unfortunately, be like a 24/7 crypto tutor for people. But we have support articles that show how to, set up MetaMask and how to keep track of your things and stuff like that.
So there
Go
is
ahead.
an opportunity here.
Yeah.
And that makes a lot of sense. In fact, what you're saying is you have that stuff takes a lot of work and
It
there's a
does.
lot of stuff to talk about. I sense an opportunity here, and I'm going to say
Hit me.
this
What do
for
we got?
anybody who will listen. Why not partner with people? Why not reward people for
Sure.
documenting your stuff? And there's ways you can reward people with
Sure.
Gala and with the store items. But if you did that, you get a lot of documentation, and of course there'd have to be certain standards and mandates.
So the problem is with that, and this is a thing that we ran into with other types of sort of like semi-sponsored content, like say a nice thing, get a freebie type thing, is that if we do that, the onus is on us to verify whatever it is that they say, which means that we have to have a person whose job it is to sit there and watch every single video that gets posted to make sure that somebody hasn't put together a video that looks good, but then gives misleading information.
I'm speaking from a development point of view. So I've been a Microsoft developer for years, and basically Microsoft puts out their documentation as in
right.
Our programming does this, and this. And then you have an infinite number of influencers and people that talk about this, that report on what Microsoft does. Microsoft doesn't manage those people. But what they do, and this is where you're talking about paying people, is they do have certification programs and so on to make sure that anybody who was to say anything about this, they've at least certified that they're intelligent enough. And I see a lot of opportunity in growing Gala Games in doing stuff like that.
So one of the things that we have
and make your podcasters a lot more informed as well, because the people reporting on Gala barely know what the fuck they're talking about. Yeah, us included.
Sometimes, yeah. The thing that's an issue is taking Microsoft as an example versus what we're doing, is that by and large, with Microsoft documentation and the stuff that you're working on with Microsoft, you have other professionals who are the people who are going to consume that knowledge. Okay. As opposed to this space where you have other, sometimes extremely gullible and ill-informed people who are going to be consuming that knowledge. And any amount of the appearance of approval is enough to make people do stupid things and trust. And one of the things that broke my frickin' heart is there was a member who had been a member of Gala Gold and a member of the Spider Tanks community for years. Okay. Years, and people had bought and sold things. They were a part of the community, super trusted. And it was like at one point in time, after years of being members of the community, they basically sold the same NFT to like 10 different people and then left the Discord and never delivered the NFT to anybody. And it was literally years of them being a member of the community, and then they did that. And so the degree of just fucking vileness that exists in this space, and people scamming, like I got a DM from somebody on Twitter yesterday that somebody had messaged them from an account that was at Gala Games and told them to send their Gala to this address to get the V2 Gala. And they just did it. And, it was a scam account, and they had taken the Gala logo, and we're currently trying to get Twitter to do their verified organization premium brand support to knock the scammers down thing. But they're not having a great deal of success there. But those sorts of situations, are why we have to be so careful with this, and why all we can really do is put out information that we're 100% certain about, share everything that we can if we do happen to see something good, but not get to the point where it's how do I put it, where you have a bunch of influencers that are in a position where everyone listens to them and one day they decide to go bad. Like if somebody decides to break bad, that's not good.
Okay.
Yeah, that unfortunately in this space that happens way more than
it does.
I'm
and
sure
it's
we all would
just
want to admit.
heartbreaking. I mean, like this is you have these conversations with people. You talk to them as community members for years, and then they pull something like that. And I'm sure that they were going through some horrible, difficult thing. Like I don't know what the situation is, and I hope that at some point in time they like make good to the people that they did that to. But like it just makes me really sad, and it's a huge problem. And so all we can really do is educate and try to reduce the barriers of entry as much as possible to make it actually work for people. But it's a big challenge.
Okay. Say right here, I want to wrap this up because we BitBender came on at the last minute, and I know he's pushing some things aside to be with us. So I'm trying to be very respectful.
It's baby bath time right now. If I don't go soon, I'm going to be in trouble.
I'm trying to be very respectful and make
Absolutely.
make sure that that we're listening to you. So I very much appreciate you answering.
My pleasure, guys.
Both of us. Appreciate you.
Yeah, this was a very, very good conversation. Thanks for taking the time. I hope that the people listening got some really good information, and they're able to take that back, and maybe the big F becomes a little F now for the fear. It's under control.
People will just pivot and then bitch about something else slightly related or whatever, and it's back. But no, I'm glad to hear the reasons why V2 was created, and I didn't want to get into all the individual technical reasons because you have that on Twitter and you have that in a Medium article and stuff like that. But I just wanted to hear from your point of view how you went about things and somehow address this constant fear that people have that they're going to get fucked over. And I think that this fear has a lot to do with the speculation and not the game playing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I get it. I understand the fear. It's a rough space. The only thing that I can do is, we can just keep building. That's all we can do here. We're doing the things that absolutely have to happen for the ecosystem. This V2 absolutely has to happen. If we don't do it, it does not work. And so, there we go.
Okay. Any last words, Mr. Titan? You can have the last word.
No, just thank you so much for coming on.
A pleasure.
This entire evening, from start to finish, has been a wonderful experience. We'll hope to see you over here again soon. Absolutely, guys. We're going to want to talk again soon. There's some more cool stuff coming up. Please do. I really like our frank conversations we have. We had a more frank one in the green room before this, and I want to hear what you have to say. In regards to these things. That's the goal. When I beat you guys up for the quarter end show when you guys didn't hit the roadmap there, I screamed it too. I said I just want something to celebrate about. I want a show to where we're doing nothing but celebrating about this instead of saying, no, they didn't hit their goals. No, they haven't done anything.
And now we know that Gala V2 was actually on the fucking roadmap. And everybody
I knew that, but you didn't know that. Okay, then why were people asking, hey, why is this happening at the last minute? Where did this come from? Nobody read the thing. Not only that, people want a 90 days notice. The actual when Gala came out and said, "Hey, this is going to happen May 15th," that wasn't all that long ago. That's the short period they were talking about. It's not like they came out in November and said, well, they didn't hit their goals, so everybody assumed, hey, it's a gone deal. You know,
So wait a
push
minute.
that off
You
forever.
just wait a minute. They laid it out in a roadmap, and they were a little late. And because they were late, you said they hit their goal, so everything must be off. That's it. Everything must be off.
No.
Whoa! What the fuck?
No,
what are you guys
listen,
doing? Oh
so-
shit! It was on the fucking roadmap, dude.
It was on the roadmap, but then the notice that people got was, hey, this
Months
is
in
ready. We're
advance from
going
the
on May
roadmap.
15th.
Months
right.
in advance
well,
from the roadmap.
Shit.
It was months in advance
So,
from the roadmap.
well, yeah, and we talked about it like last night too. There's people who lock themselves into futures contracts, and now they're going to get wrecked trying to get that out, so they don't have worthless
Expert
tokens.
mode. Sorry.
No, right. Okay. So again, we were just bringing up the things that people were talking about, and we wanted to get answers as to the why behind the why. And the short time frame was, hey, we're going, and then it's like here, and everybody's like, oh shit, that's like right here.
Next time, Bitbender, can you hold our hands and feed us the cookies or
Oh
something?
my
before you do it?
god.
Get you some warm milk, a little warm
That
milk.
would make me feel better is if you could
Yeah.
say,
No,
okay,
but-
Faz, this is going to
Well, I'll
happen.
tell
in-
ya.
in-
I was pretty miffed though. I did get mad at you last week, Jason, because you said initially you were going to come to dinner while I was in town, and then
Oh,
something
man.
happened,
Well,
and all of us were quite disappointed. Me, Faz, and Forged were like, "Well, what the hell? We were looking forward to that."
I I was looking forward to it, but it was one of those. It was what it really came down to is this. Honestly, here's a story. My daughter cannot travel in the car for more than about 20 minutes
or she
without
turns into a
throwing her cookies.
Oh, no.
And so basically what was going to happen, the plan is that I was going to drive down with my daughter to visit my grandmother, who was at the time kind of what's the nice way to put this? Beginning to shuffle off the mortal coil, kind of it was getting bad. And so it's like, okay, well, I'm going to take my daughter to go visit my grandmother, and it's going to be like this big, long, like 10-hour drive, which was just
you
all
two?
sorts of because the thing is yes.
Oh my god!
Because of weird
You need a
immigration
co-pilot
things.
for that shit.
Dude, yes. So that the plan was that I was going to take my daughter, but then my grandmother passed away, and it was one of those situations where it's like, okay, well, the other stuff that I was going to do, which was to go meet with some people, and my mother was supposed to be in the area where you guys were going to be, and she would be able to take care of my daughter while we were going to go do dinner. But then she didn't want to go and deal with the aftermath of my grandmother passing away. And so it was just like this whole gigantic snowball of like, do I really want to take a 21-month-old puke machine on a 10-hour drive to have dinner?
Just you and the kid. Just you and the
me
kid.
and
This
the
is what
kid.
I want to make clear, because there needs to be a third person when you do that.
There absolutely does. And the thing is she's technically too small to be forward facing, so she has to be backward facing in the car seat, all sorts of windy roads with it was just a bridge too far. So we'll do that sometime in the near future.
Well, you can
when-
meet
That would
with
be
me at
awesome.
any time. He's on the East Coast. You can meet with me at any time. So.
Deal. Awesome, guys. Well, I'm going to
All
go
right.
before I get in
Yes,
trouble,
get out of here before
Thank
we
you
start
very
talking
much.
again.
and I will
All right.
talk to you guys soon.
All right.
See you
bye.
later.
All right. He's gone. So that was it. I'm sure there are many permutations we did not answer. I'm sure that there's certain things we didn't dig into because you just can't get to all the questions all at once. So,
Well, yeah, and an hour goes quick, especially when we go deep on those questions. But I thought that was fantastic and way better than just watching type go by in a Discord channel.
well, are you now a Gala apologist because you think that went really well, or?
No, I what I want is the community to have the answers directly from the source and to dig deeper on those because of the speculation and the questions. And like last night, we're like, yeah, we're guessing at this, we're guessing at that. If I can get a reasonable answer that makes sense and hits the topics that myself and others are saying, hey, that doesn't look right, doesn't smell right, doesn't taste right. Let's get this rechecked. That's what I ultimately want to be able to do. And I think we did get a lot of those answers tonight. So I thought it was a fantastic conversation. And I still want him to do. This is still the year of Show Me. But
and he
showed up. He
So
showed up and
again,
did a
the
great
last
job.
the last part that I had an issue of is, and I made myself look stupid in that they said they were going to make a Gala V2. They said that they put it on the roadmap, and then when they decided to do it, the question, it wasn't show me, it wasn't how come you guys aren't doing the work, but why are you guys doing it so fast? Why didn't you give me a longer warning and all that stuff? That's it became, and so no matter how he answers that question, then there's going to be people that are going to say, well, why did you do it this way? You could have done it this way. You could have done it that way. But there's all these other factors in there that you need to learn about, which is
right.
Why I wanted
I'm still miffed. That was a short time frame. You and I, we have our stuff sitting where it is, and it's fantastic, right on a cold wallet. But a lot of other people don't. They're using those tokens as leverage for futures. They're using those tokens to provide liquidity. So that makes it exponentially more difficult
but what
for them to settle out of that.
Look at your reason, though. What you're saying is, oh, they've got to support my speculation. They're not going to do that. That's again. I shouldn't bring Star Wars action figures into it. But so let's use cars. Let's use cars. Okay, so you've decided to buy cars, a bunch of cars, to do some racing on, and you'd like to race these cars, and you make a lot of money doing that, and you're pissed off because Chevrolet won't tell you when they're going to discontinue a car or change a part or something like that. And Chevrolet says, yeah, we can't get involved with that, or that's none of your business, or whatever. They're not going to do it. Gala's not going to support speculation. And the reasons that you're giving are they're not supporting my speculation.
No,
I leveraged this token. You guys are at fault. No, you're the dumbass who leveraged your token.
No. See, I don't agree with you on that. I do think it would have been better, way better, for them to say, whether it be 60 days, 90 days, I'm not going to argue semantics of how long, but having
it would have been a
30 days.
It would have been a better argument if you would have said, they need to give me longer to get it off of an exchange. That would have been a better argument.
Okay, so you have the gas problem that's going on right now.
Well, that's okay. That started more recently than they've told you about.
But I'm saying there's multiple things going on, and it would have been. That goes back to you and I arguing about the morality issue, right? The morally right thing to do is give people plenty of time to do these things and not just say, hey, 30 days, 2 weeks, whatever it was. I can't even remember when the first announcement came out, but it was not that long ago, I can tell you that.
No, you're right. You have a point, but the problem is a lot of people are pissed off because they've made bets and they don't want to lose their money. The best one that I liked, actually, that I thought was the most appropriate, was somebody that said Coinbase locked their tokens in a vault.
Yeah, that was sad. They had the same problem that Nate had. There was transactions, I guess, and he says, I got to send documents in to get it unlocked. They told me it's going to be 6 months before it's unlocked. What am I going to do? And of course, there were crickets, and it's too bad. He's going to end up losing 500,000 Gala tokens. That's one of the comments on BitBender's tweet. I saw that. That broke my heart.
So in my opinion, that actually has a lot more blame for the exchange and less about Gala. However, there is something to be said about these companies should say something sooner for those kind of things.
Well, and perhaps, it's not ideal for the masses, like BitBender explained. It's easier on the masses to just do this swap the way they're doing it, right? But I'm still going to encourage them, 3 months, 6 months down the road, open up a window for 30 days where people can do it manually. For the people who maybe missed out, just do a solid for the community. You know how far that would go with the community by taking care of them that way? So you have 90% of the people who got it through the airdrop, the 10% of people who had issues like locked accounts or leverage positions or anything else, they at least then would have an opportunity to manually change it later.
Maybe so. That's definitely a point. I think that kind of stuff is going to evolve over time, and I think that these are still very, very early days.
It's the right thing to do. And,
now, as
and
far
that's
as
what we push them to do, is just do the right thing for your community.
As far as this swap, my 2 cents is, and this is not any sort of investment advice whatsoever, but I think once the exchanges, once everything moves over to Gala V2, Coinbase is not going to have the Gala token anymore. Probably Gemini and BitTrue and all these others that had the token, they haven't signaled that they're going to have it. So what's that mean for the price? What's the price going to be when you can't trade? So that's going to be an interesting one to find out.
Yeah, just get everything you have off, put it on
so
MetaMask at the minimum. We know hot wallets are no fun. Trust Wallet, any of the wallets you download from your mobile phone is most likely a hot wallet and not an exchange. Your Nexos, the BlockFi type places, those are all considered exchanges. Get them off of there. Get them into a wallet where you write down your seed phrase. That's how you know it's the right wallet, right? Keep it in there. The snapshot will pick up that address because it's recorded on the chain, and you're good to go.
So Punjab makes a good point. It's very easy to get disconnected. Let's go back to you. It's very easy to get disconnected from a coin. For example, I was into Tron a number of years ago. I haven't paid attention to anything about Tron in the last 2-3 years, so I have no idea. So what if I put Gala on the back burner and totally forgot about it, and I left all this stuff on an exchange? I'm going to come back a year or two later and find that I have a bunch of Gala tokens, but they're locked, they're worthless, and I didn't get anything for it. You didn't get the airdrop.
Oh boy!
And so
I had that happen on BitTrue.
With
I
what?
logged in. I bought a shit coin that I was trying to pump and dump, right?
Would that be
not me
AquaGoat?
Pump and dump. No. But there was all kinds of fever around it. This was 2 years ago when I first got into all this. And it was one of the ones that came out that was kind of like Shiba. It was HOKKI, Hoki or something like that. This thing was jumping 30, 40, 50% a day, right? And I'm swing trading this thing. I end up with like $500 worth of stuff. And then it I don't know if they rugged it or it just lost popularity and they started trading another shitcoin. So I had like 246 billion tokens, right? I log out. I don't think about it. I just let it sit in there. And I go back maybe 4 or 5 months later and I look and they swapped it they tried to resurrect it and they swapped it and I ended up with 246 coins. They tried to, reverse split it so many times and I had like 246. I said, oh my God. That was back in my early days where I was trading shit coins like there was no tomorrow.
All right. Well, I'm going to get going. Get out of here. We're going to get going. Thank you guys for stopping by and listening to BitBender rant.
Absolutely.
And I think he made a lot of good points, and I think personally people need to deal a little bit more. I think people need to do more learning and do a lot less fear mongering, because all you're going to do is just piss yourself off. Okay, go for it.
It goes back to the trust, and there's still not a lot of it to go around.
Well, I think it goes back to communication, and the only real problem I had with anything BitBender said was when I was suggesting ways that they could communicate better, him basically saying, look, if we did this more, then we'd be responsible for all this extra stuff. And so he's telling me reasons why they couldn't communicate better. And I think there's certainly opportunities to communicate better. And unfortunately, I think they're just going to have to find their own way with that. They march by their own drum.
I think they should too.
So,
all right.
All right. Thanks, guys.